I believe in the God of science. I'm a deist.
Unless you're saying that these are my prophets of science who I believe in, Schrodinger and Bohr and whoever else that you want to quote. How have you arrived at the position of being a deist, i.e. there is a God but he doesn't intervene? What you have then is that your thoughts themselves
Yes.
are predetermined.
Predetermined or
Yeah.
probabilistic?
No,
This,
predetermined. Before we
yeah.
have a chain of thought interactions, I need to know that I'm not talking to a robot.
I'm a robot.
How do you explain the fact that you're thinking? Just please explain that to me. So, Hakuna, tell me a little bit about yourself. Something
Oh,
we can
yes.
maybe have a conversation about. What's
Oh,
your beliefs? What do you stand for?
thank you very much. I'm actually surprised nobody ever asked me that question. Dr. Imran, you have asked me a question, and yesterday I was not asked that question. Abbas didn't ask me about that question. Well, I believe in the God of science. Yeah. I believe in a God that who doesn't intervene with his creation. And I'm a deist. I'm a deist. He's, I would say the God that I believe in, his nature, he exists in a wave function throughout the fabric of space and time. So if we can talk about science and religion and we can try and compare that, because I believe science has got more answers than religion can offer. You know, if you look at what science gives us, the utility of science itself is much more reliable. It gives you a little bit of a moral higher ground than religion, to be honest. What I think, that's what I think. It's my subjective belief. Science is flexible. Yeah, it's not like set in stone like religion is. It's adaptive, changing, evolving. Uh, it's falsifiable. You can verify stuff. It's easier to implement. Yeah, you see all those things. If I go one to one and compare what science gives us, I would always land to the side of science rather than religion.
Okay, so you've started off with a really interesting introduction to yourself, which is it's in itself, I would say, internally contradictory. But we'll come to that. The first thing you said was the God of science, and you were a deist. Yes, is that your position?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. So how did you tell me how you arrived at the position of being a deist? How did you establish the existence of God?
Wow, I started thinking about consciousness. I thought, wait a minute.
So well, I'm going to give you a caveat, Brother Akuna. You can only give me scientific information that would lead me to this conclusion.
Oh, scientific
Is that-
information.
This is your paradigm, right? The God of
Yes,
science, you said.
yes, the God of science.
So please give me scientific information that would
All right
lead
then.
me to the conclusion that you're going to arrive at that you're a deist, please.
Why is there something rather than nothing? Does nothing exist? Where
Sorry,
and what?
1 second, Brother Kakuna.
Yes.
Scientific information. So all the statements you've made so far are philosophical, they're metaphysical, they're not
Okay.
scientific. Yeah, I'm waiting for you.
All right then. Quantum vacuum, Heisenberg uncertainty principle. I believe things appear more probabilistic uh, um, than ordained, than how can I say this? Than they are programmed by an invisible uh, uh, um, somebody behind the curtain doing the work for us. So I'm thinking of Schrodinger equations. I'm thinking of Niels Bohr quantum field theory. Does that?
Yeah, so throwing out lots of names of different scientists and their theories and their equations, you're not giving me an explanation. So are you do you have you carried out any scientific experiments for yourself to verify anything, any scientific fallacy, any scientific claim or not?
No, but I am
Okay,
a
so
naturalist.
that's
I'm a
fine. I
naturalist.
understand you're a naturalist, and this is why I asked you to, because you started off with metaphysical questions, and then you went on to say give a subjective view that you think that things seem as if they are better rather than being designed and created, that they're somehow better explained, and then you started throwing out lots of scientific, as if they are impressive. I'm not impressed personally
I
by
know.
just the titles of the equations that people have. Schrodinger was an individual. Yes, okay, that's fine. So Schrodinger's equations just means that guy's equations. It's just mathematical, whatever. But the point here is that you haven't. What you've done is you've thrown out things that are not empirical, that you don't have access to empirically, therefore cannot form the set of data that you believe in empirically, unless you're saying that these are my prophets of science who I believe in, and I have very strong faith in my prophets of science, Schrodinger and Bohr and whoever else that you want to quote. And if that's the case, then we can go further with that. But what I would like
Absolutely.
you to do is, before even that stage, how have you arrived at the position of being a deist, i.e., there is a God, but he doesn't intervene? And because you're a materialist now, because there's a contradiction in terms here now, you're claiming to be someone who believes in God, and that God is non-intervening, and that's the definition of a deist. And then at the same time, you say you're a naturalist, which precludes and excludes anything that is supernatural. It's again a contradiction in terms. So what I'd like you to do, if that's okay, is to tell me how you've arrived at being a deist using your materialist scientific paradigm as your explanation. So I'll wait for you, brother.
Yes. I've arrived at being a deist by thinking about consciousness. When I say consciousness, is that something rather than nothing, and these immaterial things gaining knowledge. What is knowledge? Knowledge is the absence of nothingness. So when I thought about nothingness, I said, okay, if nothingness does not exist, it only exists in our head for computational purposes. It's an
Sorry,
entity.
Brother Hakuna. So
Yes.
you've made a lot of jumps in this the sentences that you've just given. So you were thinking about consciousness, and then you seem to be having a chain of thought. You're a materialist,
Yes.
so tell me how you think.
Exactly. I'm telling you. I'm trying to
No,
show you
no,
that. Yes.
no. You don't understand my question. Maybe
Maybe.
you're a materialist.
Yes.
Yeah, that means there is nothing supernatural. Do you understand that? Yeah, everything is nature, material. Yes. Do you agree with this?
Yes, there's nothing outside nature.
Okay. So now what I'm going to explain, and it's interesting, outside nature. So now everything that happens anywhere is, because there's no outside nature now, everything is within nature. Everything that happens everywhere is a result of a series of natural events and processes that preceded.
Absolutely.
Okay.
They're all anything else is imagined from that.
Sorry?
Anything else apart from nature emerges from
I
nature
understand that's
itself.
I
Yes.
understand that's your position. Yeah, I
Yes.
understand that's your position. So so just to recap, because we're going to go further with this. So you claim to be someone who believes in a God that doesn't intervene, which is what the definition of a deist is. Yet you claim to be an exclusively a naturalist. There is nothing outside of nature, which would preclude, which would actually, it opposes the first statement that you're a deist. And then the question I was asking you about is how you think, and you agree with me that everything that happens in the world, in the universe, in any place, because everything is nature, there is no outside nature, happens because of a series of natural processes that bring about the result. Yes.
Yes, but there's also panpsychism within it. So there is a panpsychism element to it.
So you're a deist who's a naturalist who believes in panpsychism. Is that the?
Yes, correct.
Okay, sorry that you're making me laugh, brother. So we'll come on to the panpsychism in a second, yeah, because this is very interesting.
I think before you continue, Doctor, I mean, you need to ask Hakuna. Hakuna, is there any other thing that you believe simultaneously whilst we're at this?
I believe in people and human beings, love, everything else, and Christmas as well.
Okay, no, but I'm just saying, in terms of your belief system,
Yes.
do you want to throw anything else in there? Because obviously, to analyze you is getting more and more difficult now.
Okay, listen. I don't. I'm not a Hindu as such, because I know you're thinking of panentheism. No. I'm not going there yet. Maybe in
we're
the
not
future.
thinking
In the
about
future.
panentheism. No, that's not the point. So let me just try and carry on, because you're adding some extra masala to the tea that's not necessary at the moment. So you're let's start again. So you're a deist that deist by definition someone who believes that God exists but doesn't intervene in the universe, who at the same time is a materialist, i.e. nothing outside of the material universe exists and everything is material. And where we talk about the result of anything that happens in the result of anything that happens in the universe is because of some sort of a cause that's happened before, some natural processes over which you have no control. Do you agree with that? You have no control over natural processes. They occur because of the properties of the parts of nature that are interacting.
Yes, they exist as a wave function throughout the fabric of space and time.
Okay, there is no way for you to control the wave function.
No, it's probabilistic.
Okay, so is anything outside of this chain of events?
Apart from the probabilistic nature of it, that actually where I emerge from, even
No.
consciousness. Okay,
Hear the question, Akuna.
go on.
Is there any effect that is outside of the chain of events?
There are no hidden. No, there are no hidden variables. No,
Okay.
we don't have no hidden
Absolutely.
variables.
So, at what point are you able to control your thoughts then?
As soon as I gain enough knowledge over a very long period of
Knowledge
time.
is part of the thinking process. How are you able to control your thoughts? And I'll tell you why. Because I'm not trying to trap you here. I'm just trying to make you realize the consequences of what you're saying. If everything
Doctor, I don't think you need to trap him. I think he's already trapped himself.
I understand. That wasn't a trap. That was like,
All right.
yeah. But yeah, so let's not go there for a second. But let's just we'll humor the conversation. So the point here is that if only the material world exists,
Yes.
and everything in the material world is a result of the only effect in the material world is a result of previous natural processes.
Yes.
And your thoughts are also a part of the material natural world.
Yes.
And therefore they are the result of previous natural processes that you don't have any control over. Just like you can't control the sodium reacting with the chlorine.
Yes, the emergent properties. Yes.
So what you have then is that your thoughts themselves are predetermined.
Predetermined or probabilistic?
No, predetermined.
They're not predetermined.
Predetermined.
They're coming from probabilistic.
No, but what is that? You're just using the term probabilistic without understanding the principle behind it.
Yeah, well, when you have enough combinations, these combinations gain enough.
No, but Akuna, you have an infinite number of combinations. I'm giving them to you.
Okay.
You have no control over how those infinite number of combinations are going to react and the effect which results from them. Do you?
They have already done that for me. So I'm just
doing
what.
My question I'm asking you is:
yes,
of those infinite number of combinations, do you have any influence over which result and outcome there will be?
No, they're probabilistic.
No. So therefore, you cannot control your thoughts.
I can't.
Which explains no, you cannot control your thoughts with your position as because even the way you're describing it shows me that even now probably you don't have control over your thoughts, because you're describing yourself as a deist, as someone who believes that God exists, God by definition.
Not a theist. Not a theist.
Deist. Do you know what a deist is?
Yes, I don't believe.
What is a deist?
A deist is somebody who believes in well, you say a God, you say. But
a deist is a subcategory of
I believe he does not.
Deism is a subcategory of theism. You understand that?
Is it? Because I thought it's somebody who God does not intervene.
I told you, Hakuna, you have no control over your thoughts. So
yes. I thought I should tell you a deist.
So a deist is someone who believes that God exists and that God created the universe. No, God. There's no such thing as a God of science.
There is.
No. This does not. Hakuna,
I'll tell you why.
Respect.
What of the gaps?
We can come to that, but first you need to tell me. First, you need to tell me how you're thinking, because as a naturalist,
Yes.
Your very thoughts are simply the results of previous determined reactions that are happening.
Yes.
And there is no way there's anything outside of nature for you to actually. Assalamu alaikum, brother Ijaz, lovely to see you. There is nothing outside of nature that can intervene into this natural processes to change any effects. And therefore, the very thoughts that you are producing,
Yeah.
which are the result of these previous aforementioned factors, are not in your control. So rather than trying to explain to me anything, the first
Yes.
question I asked is, how are you thinking?
Well, through self-propelling reorganizations.
No, but you cannot propel. There's no such thing as self-propelling.
But this
No, brother Hakuna, there's no
yes.
such thing as self-propelling, because you're
Well,
talking about properties of the universe, parts of the universe, subatomic particles, whatever you're talking about.
yes, that's
That interact.
self-reorganized.
No, self-reorganization is just. It's a joke what you're saying, because it's a
Is it?
contradictory in terms. Because either you have material which is just reacting to according to its properties, and there's no conscious direction of this.
Right.
So there's no
That's
self-reorganize. There's no self-reorganizing. You understand? It's nothing to do. It cannot do anything to itself. It can just react, and the effects you see are because of those predetermined properties and the effects that result in the causes that you see. Your brain is a
yes.
collection of these parts of the universe that interact in whichever way
Exactly,
they
yes.
interact, and you're
Yes.
there, and therefore your thoughts are also a result of those chemical or reactions that are occurring within your brain, and you have no control over those. So at the
I'll
moment,
tell you how I have control.
no, you
Yes.
cannot tell brother Hakuna.
Yes.
You can. There's only one way to come out of this.
Okay.
But I'll let you give me your explanation of telling me how I can believe that you think first before we go anywhere else.
Well, abiogenesis. When that happened,
Brother
that
Hakuna,
jump. When that
see,
jump happened, now look.
Hakuna,
Okay.
what does abiogenesis mean?
Well, with these particles gained enough consciousness, they're
No,
self-aware.
nothing to do with brother. What is abiogenesis?
These particles
Brother
became
Hakuna,
self-aware.
brother
Yeah.
Hakuna, brother
Yeah.
Hakuna. One
The
second.
jump.
Look, with all respect, due
On.
respect, brother Hakuna, abiogenesis has got nothing to do with consciousness. Okay, it's a
Well,
term. What does the term mean? I'm asking you. Don't tell me particles become self-aware, because that contradicts the split the photon split experiment. If you say particles
double
became
split. Yeah.
self-aware,
Well,
so to say that particles become self-aware, you contradict scientific observations. So what I want from you is to explain to me how is it that you can think.
through discerning nothingness. If I can discern.
Discerning is part of your thinking process. So tell me how you can rely that you are on the fact that you're able to have a train of thought that's under your control.
Yeah. Okay. If you just answer one question for me, please.
I'll try.
Does nothingness exist?
We both agree that it doesn't.
Okay. But do you believe in
No, but this
an
is all
empty?
thinking.
Okay,
Hakuna,
please. Sorry.
Hakuna, brother. This is all thinking. Before we talk about, before
Yeah.
we have
No,
a chain
I'm
of
trying to.
thought, before we
Yeah.
have a chain of thought interactions,
Yes.
I need to know that I'm not talking to a robot. So I
I-
need to know how it is that you're thinking, brother.
I'm a robot.
How do you explain the fact that you're thinking? Just please explain that to me.
I'm a robot made from the God of science, God of the gaps. You know, God of the gaps, the one where we do science until
Okay, you know
we
what,
cannot know anymore.
Akuna, I
Mhm.
don't think honestly
Yeah.
that we're having a sensible conversation. I've got brother Idris waiting, and
Okay.
there's other people who want to come on the show as well, Hakuna.
All right.
I really think you need to perhaps think about what you're saying perhaps a little bit more carefully, because even materialists today, some who've studied neuroscience and stuff like that, they actually admit that they do not make any decision independent of a process that preceded that decision or that action.
That's true.
It's a domino effect. The domino
Yes.
falls, and what you're saying now, right now, when you just said it's true, you had no choice in saying it's true. It was a domino that fell before that, which was a domino that fell before that, which was a domino that fell before that. I think that's what Dr. Imran has just established for you here. I just think that you're perhaps being selective in terms of, being honest about what you really believe, because you want to believe that you have rationality, you have intelligence, you have the ability to decipher, decide. But in reality, as a materialist, you don't. That's the point. You can't have your cake and eat it. And I think that's what you're really trying to do. So, Ijaz, if you'd like to have a quick conversation, if you want to add anything, otherwise we'll get the next guest on.
He's a robot. I don't see the point in speaking with a robot.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Akuna, it was lovely talking to you. Yeah,
Akuna, it was nice talking to you.
With all sort of funniness aside,
Yes.
I think it's really important to have a really grounded reason and a rational reason and outcomes of what you believe. So just think through those a little bit more. We're happy to even talk to you off of this, on being online, because some of the things you're saying, I hope you don't say them again, because it doesn't come across very nicely for you. And I'm sure that you're a very intelligent person, and so just to raise the level of the discussion. But Akuna, lovely talking to you, and I hope we speak again. Okay.